Hi everyone, it's Nicola Burton from Music Means Business. And today on the Music Reel, Manny and I, have a very special guest, a man that we worked with a very long time ago, Mr. John Swan, Swannee. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm always good.
You're always good. We have not seen you we were trying to work out before, I reckon it's close to, 27 years. It's been a long time since we've seen you.
I know. I was very young then.
You were very, very, very like 2, 3.
What do you mean? You're still young, Swannee. Still young.
So for those of you watching who don't know who this young man is, he is part of Australian rock and roll royalty. So he's done albums, hit singles, worked with everyone. He was inducted into the South Australian Music Hall of Fame. But you, in 2017, you got an Order of Australia medal, didn't you, John?
The same year as I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I became South Australian Senior Citizen of the Year, and I was runner-up in Australian Citizen of the Year. And
wow, congratulations!
That was really amazing because number one, I didn't expect to be here, and many will tell you. Shouldn't be my rights. But you know, it was a great honour, but more than that, I enjoyed what I was doing. And I think the following year I got the OAM. That was nice.
Well, that's for your work with charities. You've been doing a lot of work with charities, I think, since we've seen you. Can you perhaps talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I started out. Well, I gave up drinking and drugs, as everybody knows. But you know, I never pull any punches. I tell the truth the way it is, and because there's no point in me trying to fidge it. Too many people know. You know, it's quite obvious. But you know, when I made that decision, I gave up cigarettes, drink, and drugs on the same day. And
wow,
it was a hellish month of withdrawals, just sweating and doing all that. You know? And I understand my kids are frightened about it, but let me tell you, if I hadn't have done it, the doctor said you've got a month to go. So,
wow,
you know, I was losing blood up the front passage, back passage. It wasn't pretty. But the thing is, I took the option, and I don't know why. I actually do. My wife said, you know, I'm not leaving you, I'm leaving this situation. I'm going to stay at my sister's for a while you sort of get yourself together, because I can't sit here and watch you die.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, okay then. Can you get us a couple of kids before we
go? Oh, no.
Mr. Sensitive. No, the point being, I mean, she was my best friend, and she left, and I sort of just went down and lay there on my mum's floor in the spare room with nothing else in the room, just a carpet and a blanket and water, you know. And I did what you have to do for a month and to get clean. And let me tell you, I say to everybody, if you'd have thought that a boy from Elizabeth, you know, I couldn't hold down a job, been a rock and roller since I was 13, I've really had a blessed life. But unfortunately, along the way, I was suffering from anxiety, and the anxiety I didn't know. At 13, I was playing with a girl called Lynn Randell. It was before your time, but she had a hit with Chow Baby, Let's Call It a Day. It was #1, and she hired us, and we got to play. Our first gig was with the #1 seller, you know. So it was Molly's girl. It was Molly's girl. He created the whole thing.
Okay.
And she was Jimi Hendrix's girlfriend. So it was quite interesting to hear all the stories. We got, you know, it was a really fortunate life, but I was hanging around. I'm 13, 14-year-old hanging around with 27-year-olds, Max Merritt and Billy and all of those guys who were doing what 27-year-olds do. And I thought I was so cool doing that, but they protected me. I stand by them. They protected me. They stopped me from all the, you know, pedophiles and God knows what else, because I was badly molested at that age, and it's not something. But having said that, that's where my nerves came in, and I was playing with Lynn one day in Melbourne, and I think Twilight's were the main band coming on. And I just had a panic attack, and I got up off the drums, because I was playing drums at the time, and I walked off the stage, and everybody's looking at me going, "You can't walk off, man," you know. And I said, I can't do it. Anyway, there's this big bikie there at the side of the stage, and he said, "What do you think you're doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm getting out of here. He said, you're having a panic attack. Breathe. And he poured me a scotch of a Glenfiddich thing, and he gave it to me, and it was only just about 4 fingers, you know, like. And I drank it, and immediately I drank it, it hit the spot here. They call it the sweet spot, and it just went right through my whole system. And about 2 seconds after it hit my system, I turned around, I picked the drumsticks up, and I sort of sauntered back on stage like I was some sort of, you know, grown-up rock star. You know, it made me turn into everything I wanted. I could talk to girls, I could con girls, I could tell them lies. You know, I couldn't do that before I drank.
Wow. That was a good band-aid to use from a young age.
Yeah, but when I got sober, I thought, I've got to do something with my life now. You know, I've been given a second chance, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'll say it, but it's not something that I bang down people's throats. But I had to go to AA to get help in the end, because I was isolated for 18 months and not drinking, not taking drugs, not cigarettes. I never ever had another one after the moment I said I would do it. But there's a certain type of thing that you need when you're getting sober in its quality of life. You don't get sober to just be a miserable drunk, you know. They call it a dry drunk. But you know, I just couldn't stand it. But I went along to a couple of guys from rock and roll. I won't mention their names because it may embarrass them. They might have some very important people in there. Yeah, let me tell you.
I can imagine them.
I won't say the names, but I've seen some of the biggest stars in the world, you know, to come up and sit next to me, and they're in tears because they're frightened that their child's got the gene, you know. And I said, oh, no, it's a gene, that's not proven, that's just something, you know. And I know the guy's just got 20, 30 million for a movie he was doing here at the time. But it's not money. You cannot, all the money in the world will not give me what I've got today. I wake up in the morning feeling good. I go to bed at night feeling good. And I go to bed at night, you know, and wake up next to the person that I know best, you know. And it's me. But, you know, that made me want to move down the road of how can I be of some assistance to these kids. So anyway, I went down I did Meals on Wheels for about a year down Angus Young Street, because Angus was living in Kangaroo Point. Yeah, named, you know. And all of these beautiful, beautiful women, you know, they're in their 80s, they're up in the garage, and it's a peninsula that goes out. I won't mention where it is, and there's all these magic houses with water. I had my boat parked at the bottom of it, so I knew what was down there, you know.
Yeah.
And these old ladies were up in the garage, and I thought, well, what's these 4 houses? They said, that's my grandkids, my daughter, and my other son, and they've pushed her up to the shed, basically, you know.
Right.
And collateral, you know, equity-wise, she was so well off. And I thought, well, okay, you know, what can I do to help? And she said, do you know, I hadn't had any prawns or avocado for so long. It's just been this mush. So I said, look, I'll go and talk to the chef. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. There was no chef. You know, hello. The chef's the guy from the bowling club. But for me, I just went straight up to Woolies and I got some avocados and some lemon and some prawns and stuff like that I thought was just somebody who hadn't had a nice treat for a while would enjoy. So I took it back to her and she said, oh, this is so good. When I got back, she had rouge on and she had she had her hair on and it was a ponytail right down her back. She just looked beautiful, you know. And all of a sudden it was because somebody had taken a bit of time to just talk to her, have a cup of tea with her and find out what would you like and go and get it. And I came back with it. And anyway, I went next door to the next person, and you have to go down the waterfronts and climb down there. And I get to the door and I go, hello, it's Meals on Wheels. My name's John Swan. You can open the door. I've got a pass here. And she said, oh, no, I know who you are. And she opened the door up. And I thought, how does she know who I am? And I gave her her tray. And she went, what's that? I said, it's Meals on Wheels. And she said, where's the avocado and the prawns?
No.
Now I'm one of them. Now I'm one of that generation. I understand how it happens. She had rung every single woman all the way there. You know, they were glorious, because as I got further down the street, they had more time to put makeup on and get the jewelry and all the stuff, you know, like. And I fell in love with them because they're just the most beautiful people, you know.
Because people,
Yeah, and I felt terrible about them being neglected by their parents. Their sons and daughters are all living down there, living the life of Riley on mum's equity that dad's worked his butt off for, you know.
yeah.
So I really, really got the shit, excuse my language, but what I decided then was I was going to try and make a difference in somebody's life. And
Wow.
I just started talking to a psychologist, and he said, you know, you'd be good to actually be an example. He said, because you're a thesis for a whole semester of, you know, psychiatry with the stuff that you've done, you know. And I said, oh, thank you very much, I think. And he introduced me to some people, and I sat down and I took them to Cronulla Beach, and I sat them down and had a coffee with them. And they said, do you think I could do it? I said, well, you know, I knew I couldn't. I've lived my whole life. I've lost so many gigs. I've been offered with AC/DC, Flash in the Pan, Robin Trower Band, all of that. But I could never do it because of the alcohol. If they had taken me, Bon had just died. He died similar to where I thought I was going to go. You know, no disrespect to anybody and I would have been a labour on those boys. I love those boys so much because we grew up together. We're friends. There's not AC/DC cultures or in excess and that. They were all just kids like us, you know.
Yeah.
Later, success came, and even some of them then still be kids, you know. But the point being, I think that I suddenly realised I've got something to say.
Yes.
They when I was telling them, they go, "Oh, Christ, you're joking." And I'd say, "Yeah," and also, you know, along the way, I got prostate cancer and all this sort of stuff. And I lost my mum, and I lost my dad, and I lost an awful lot of friends. As you know, in this industry, we're at that age now where we drop off. You know, you just got to make sure you're on Facebook the night before to make sure that they're still there. Yeah. Can you imagine if Facebook was around when we were doing it?
No.
It was. I think it was called the King's Cross Whisper then.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, I say, and I started seeing people homeless people. I've been homeless, you know, and I'm not trying to emulate Jim, but with his book or anything like that. All I'm saying is, I've lived in the back of a truck. It was a fruit truck in Melbourne when I was with that band as a 14-year-old, you know. Wow. And I thought, well, see, there's only room inside. There's only one room per band, and there's 4 of us. So 2 of them got the 2 biggest guys got them because they could fight best, and I got so they found somewhere to stay. And I thought, where? And then I walked outside, and there's this fruit truck, and it's got great big boxes full of mandarins and oranges and pumpkins. So I got in amongst the oranges, you know, like that sort of stuff myself, and covered it up. And I hear this voice, and she said, a girl's voice. She said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Who?" "You in there?" And I went, "Nobody in here." And she said, I said, "Who are you?" She said, "I live across the road. Why don't you come and have a cup of tea?" And I went, "Okay." And I went across. It was one of the ladies of the night, you know.
Right. She saved you. She protected you.
She just said to me, "I want nothing from you." She said, "All I want you to do is have a shower, give me your clothes, and let me wash your clothes and iron them." She's a mum.
Yeah.
She was doing, you know, to get food on the table for the. And I suddenly seen a whole different side to life, you know, but that affected me later on when I seen homeless women doing the same thing, and homeless guys doing terrible things to homeless women to take advantage of a situation, you know, because the women feel protected because they're being abused by these idiots, you know. God. So I stepped in and tried to get I joined a thing called Duros, which is Salvation Army. I didn't join the Salvation Army or anything like that, but I loved what they were doing. So we got them a little Mercedes van, a Vito, and would put coffee machine in there. And a friend of mine, who, it's really funny because in this industry, it is the type of industry that the word gets around so quickly. This girl rings me up and she says, "Can I have a coffee with you?" I said, "Look, anytime you want," because it started to become, it was in the papers and stuff like that, and I didn't really want it in the papers because that's not the reason why I was doing it. Suddenly I had found a purpose in my life, and she said, "I'm in charge of the Adelaide dental faculty. I'm the principal." She said, "I would like to try and help you and your people at the Hutt Street in Adelaide."
Oh, wow.
185 people, trying to feed them every night, and I was using some of the money from my gigs and not putting money into the house. Do you know what I mean? I became so obsessed with it that poor Virginia wasn't getting the money. I was giving it to other people.
Yeah.
But, and that has its consequences. But I'd never ever felt better because the first night I went, and sort of got the 185 people, 187 people, and you have to serve from the right side, and you give them their food and you speak politely, and it doesn't matter what they say to you because they don't take to society. They don't like us. We treat them like shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're protecting their plate like this, and I said, "You don't have to protect it. There's tons here. You can have as much as you like there." And they just come like, and they're embarrassed because of the smell, so I thought, well, there's only one way I'm going to get around this is to gain their trust. So this guy says to me, "Oh, I know you." He said, "You sing in a band, don't you?" And I said, yeah. I said, "I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't tell anybody." He said, "I've already done it." He said, so after dinner, I said, "Well, and I had been doing the hospitals. I roll up and do palliative care, play a few songs to them." The guy says, "Can you learn While My Guitar Gently Weeps?" It's my favourite song. And the guy's in palliative care. He's got the drip in, the whole bit. The family's there. I get the family out and talk to them. I say, "How are you really feeling?" Because they never tell you what they're really feeling. They pretty much act on for everybody else,
That's right.
I want to know about how they're feeling. It's their death, and it's quite a beautiful thing, and it's sad that they never get to be honest about it. And because if the kids would be upset, that's all they care about,
And also when someone's dying, it's I know when my dad was dying 2 years ago, I kind of couldn't allow myself to feel it because there was so many things to do while we were going through that process. It's kind of like, put it on hold. Okay, it's over there. When this is all over, then I'll let myself feel it. So you can kind of understand. And no one, like you said, no one really asks you, "How are you feeling?"
No, and I asked the family to would you mind leaving me for half an hour with him if I'm going to come in? Because the mum would ring me and say, "He's a huge baddie. He was coming up for coffee with him because he's going to pass away tomorrow." And it would just make us happy to know that you turned up.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes, So I jumped in the cab and get out to the hospital and sitting there and I'm playing. This man is the most beautiful, gracious. He's 40-year-old. He's a pilot.
Wow.
He's met a girl. She's got 3 kids under 10. He's got 3 kids under 10. And he's dying of cancer. And I just went, "Oh, life isn't fair." And he said, can I play the guitar?" And it's very hard for him because the respiratory, the injection, understand the respiratory thing. He started playing Better Be Home Soon, and I just went, "Wow, that's sensational." He said, "I've got a couple of guitars in my wardrobe at home." I said, "Oh yeah, okay." So anyway, I said, "Look, I've got to go. I'll come back tomorrow." He said, "What are you going to play tomorrow?" I said, "What would you like to hear?" And he said something like, "Oh, Sweet Home Alabama," something really quick. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, I'm not a guitar player, and I walked out the door and I thought, all right. So I get this phone call I'm driving back to another hospital over the other side of the town, and it's his wife, and she said, "Swannee." I said, "What?" She said, "You bastard, what have you done to my husband?" And I said, I don't think I've done anything." She said, "He wants his guitars in there. He's pulled out that grip. He's not going to, he said, "I'm not going to lie here and just take it." He said, "I've got 6 kids under 10 and I want to spend a few months with them, And I said, "Well, that's a blessing. And you should why are you angry? She said, I'm not. She said, but we had all just come to terms with it. That's you're going, you know. Now, that I didn't think of. You know, there's so many things and variables in death and life. But I guess the main point is that he got out and he came around with me, and he had so much chemo, he's no hair in his head, and his eyes were jaundiced and yellow and stuff like that. But good-looking young man, you know, 40-year-old. And we were playing at the rehabilitation centre next day for kids with brain damage, you know, like the car accidents and stuff, and they got their little helmets.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm sitting there saying, wow, you know, this is great. And I look around and there's Stephen Hulk, a young guitar player. He's 14. I'm mentoring him. He's a great bass player, blues player. And I turn around the other side. There he is. You know, he's sitting there and he's looking at me. His eyes were clear, like you would not believe. Like they were white, you know, much better than mine. You know, like, and he's playing away and he's playing these songs, and I've got all the photos and stuff like that, and his wife was there, and you know, he went home and he lived another 3 months, and he said, called me in one day and said, this is the best 3 months I've ever had in my life. He said, I got quality time with my kids because I knew what was about to come to fruition. So what I did was say, what would you like to do? He said, I have to give up. I'm so tired. I said, okay. And he said, I want you to know that I can't, I'm sorry, I can't say what he said, but it was something that I'll live with for the rest of my life, and I'll carry, and I hope to be able to give that to somebody else that they gave me. I meant something to somebody for just a second, and I really knew what love was, you know. What the world should be all about.
What a gift you gave him.
Absolutely.
Such a gift because you looked at him, you saw him, you allowed him to feel what was going on, and what a gift you gave him.
And he went in his conditions. You know,
wow.
He wasn't. The doctor said, "I will put him on a drip, and he'll be gone by the end of the week." No, he lived another 3 months of great stuff, and
incredible
3 months of great times with my kids who are under 10. Now those kids have grown up. I wrote a song called "Here's to You" on my last album, and it was for him.
Wow.
Darren Mullins, a producer of the album, and it's a beautiful song. Then his wife said, "Would you sing it at the wedding?" I said,
oh wow!
I don't know if I can because I'm sitting before his kids and that, you know. And I thought, you know what? That's what it's about. This is what I've got to overcome, my own emotions, in order to be able to give somebody else the final closure.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Absolutely.
I swear to you, well, that became the norm then. After people got to hear about that, I have no hesitation. I've been through the worst part. It's the first time you do it, you know.
Right.
So from then on, it would be stuff like, you know, can you do help me make it through the night and stuff like that? And I'd say, you sure want me to learn this? Then you've got their trust. You're the type of person that they can talk to them. I didn't baby them. I didn't, you know, pat them on the back and rub them with a little, and all I did was wet their lips, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
And made jokes, and we had a great time until the family came back into the room, and then it became, he put the act on for the kids, you know.
Yeah.
But when he started making those jokes in front of the kids, it wasn't appropriate. He suddenly realized he had to play that role of being dad who's dying. So not good being happy about it.
So John, I have to ask you, have you written a book about your life yet?
No,
with these stories that you're telling us today, my goodness, I would buy that book.
Yeah, no, but I can't print, never mind write. And my last book, the crayons got nicked, so I couldn't colour it in. Jim writes books. I don't write books, you know, like, and to be totally honest with you, I think that these things that I'm talking to you about are memories that are from a good place and not to be for a reward. I didn't want a friggin'
no, I get that.
And there's a few times during the past few months that I've felt like sticking it up. When that old guy got the, was it 32 million pounds or something, colonel, and he got made up to be a colonel when he's 95, 100 years old or something, and in England, and he walked up and down his driveway and got so much money for these people. And then actually seeing the guards there while he's walking up and down, and then the Queen gave him an OBE, you know. And I thought, well, that's what they should be used for. They shouldn't be used for things like me, and they certainly shouldn't be going to cricketers and footballers and all this bullshit, you know. Okay. Give them to people who deserve them, who give them to nurses, you know. Let me tell you, more so than doctors. They're there, you know. Like I said, I've had some health problems. I've had a lot of health problems, and I've got nearly a few pieces left in my body that are mine. But I'll be really honest with you. I've never had a better life. Sure, we're in isolation, but I'm getting an opportunity to talk to you. Plus, I didn't know this thing was such a good platform. You know, I've been going out and buying all of this stuff. I've got more mics you can point to stick at, you know, road broadcasters and special web cameras and all this stuff. I'm going straight to you through.
It's fantastic, because I think there's been a lot of benefits in this lockdown for people. As much as it sucked, there's been a lot of benefits.
Having said this, that I think there's a new thing in music, which is going to take a lot of the music scene as we know it won't be the same ever.
Why?
You know, because they you know, the kids aren't getting the heroes to be able to be. You know, there's no Jeff Beck's, there's no Eric Clapton's, there's no B.B. King, there's no Howlin' Wolf, there's no, you know, Robert Johnson. So who are they going to learn all those licks off? You know, you can't drag them in from Apple, drag a loop in and makes a beat, you know. Steve Gadd picks a beat. If you listen to 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, you'll hear that, poof, that little drum fill he plays before it. That sets up the song. It's just, everything's feel, you know. You can't replace that. No matter what, until they get that special, I don't know what they call it. I guess it's just moving robots. Yeah, but the robots will take over, you know, and they'll get human emotion, but they won't be able to play those chops. You know, you can't do what guys like. There's a guitar player like James Mueller. He's number 4 in the world for the jazz players. He's sitting in Adelaide doing nothing, you know. Like I say, doing nothing. He's teaching at conservatory, so he's teaching kids, and he is a wonderful, wonderful man. Good player, young, 28, 6'4", fit as a fiddle, bass blues player. I walked into the studio when he walked into the studio. I said, "Get out." He went, what? Because he was sort of intimidated, you know. And I said, "Jesus Christ, you couldn't be any better looking, could you?" And he said, "Well, would you mind if I record in the other room?" I said, "Why?" He said, "I'm intimidated looking at you." He said, "I've been watching you on telly for all these years." And I went, "Now you're really pushing it, kid."
Oh, John, your voice, there is no, like, seriously, you singing Flame Trees, that's it for me.
Is that Spicks and Specks?
No, when we sang live with you, you sang Flame Trees, and it broke me. It was just incredible.
I'll actually pull that out today and give it a song, because I'm starting up here. I can't stay away from it because it's addictive. This helping people is addictive. If people only realise that by helping others, they are doing more for themselves than what they're ever going to do.
Absolutely.
The rewards that I'm getting are good, clean sleep. I'm alive. I shouldn't be here, mate. You know, my liver, my kidneys, I've got prostate cancer, and you name it. I've never felt better. And I'm getting an opportunity to go through some of the old years with some lovely people who I treasure. And, you know, life doesn't get much better than that.
And you look really good. You've got great energy, and it's just so great to see this.
Fantastic.
It's good when I'm doing what I need to do. You know what else I do? I get out in the garden, and I've got one of the best gardens. You know, like
I've noticed that on Facebook, Swannee. I've noticed it. I'm living vicariously through your gardening stances.
All right. Well, see, that's that down the bottom's all council land, and it was all scrub. Now it's plantation. I've got banana trees down there, and I've got the best neighbour. James Rooney's his name, and he's a He's a very successful businessman. But me and him just have this kindred spirit. And we get down there and we turn a whole bunch of, on the hills next to the neighbour's place, we gutted all the trees out. We got every single root out and we planted lawn. And that was the start. And then from there, it drove into the creek. We got into the creek, dug another creek, and made the feature out of the creek that was already there. So there's two things in life that I love is nature, honesty, and being able to help people.
Helping people. Wow.
The only thing that I don't really, I have everything that I need, you know, and everything that I want, I've had. I've had 35-foot cruisers. I've had 5 acres in Sydney, and, you know, Jags and Mercs. I've got an old Merc and an old guitar. And that's all I own now. And I need nothing else. I've got a nice little studio here. My wife's upstairs, and, you know, we're just best friends like you can believe. Everybody should have a little period apart to sort themselves out. She said, I want to know who I am. And I said, I can understand that, because I'm only just learning who I am.
It's a lifelong journey, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
You know, if you let it in, if you let life in, it's a great thing. You know, but you have to let it on life's terms. You can't let it on your terms. Unfortunately, two people, there's no I in we. You know, that's my vote. Exactly. That's about the way I conclude all of that. You know, like, where's the I in we? And, you know, the first thing they do is, what's in it for me? You know, so you wouldn't believe if I told you.
Exactly. John, look, I could talk to you all day, but unfortunately we're going to have to finish it up. I could seriously talk to you all day. You've given us so much to think about. And I think for young artists to listen to your story, how you've gone through the incredible success, and then you've had so many challenges, and now you're dedicating your life to helping others. I think it's an incredible journey and an incredible example to give people.
Just if I can quickly tell you, I've got a young guy called Tash Farrell. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
Do you heard of him?
No, not yet.
Okay, you must look him up. Tash Farrell. He's playing with Santana. He turned 11 today, right?
Wow.
He turned 11.
That's amazing. He's the Derek Trucks of today. He's up there playing with Rob Thomas, Carlos Santana in the biggest stages in the world. Gibson have given him everything they can possibly. He's an 11-year-old. And I'm talking to his grandma. She said, what do you think? And I said, all I'm saying is let him be a boy. Let him be an 11-year-old. His talent will come to the fore always, because, like, he's playing better than anybody that I can tell you about. He's a humble kid. But, you know, I'll private message you, and I'll give you a thing. Have a talk to him.
That
because,
would be great.
If he plays for, you know, our generation of players think that what doesn't stink, you know, but the whole point being, there's guys like Kevin Borich who have made their life just about playing guitar. Kevin doesn't get on planes and all that bullshit. He gets in the car, he's got a trailer with a PA, and he's flying V and he's Gibson, and he's off. And he sets the gear up. He's 72. He's had his face rebuilt with cancer. You know, I went to visit him as a palliative thing. And I started crying. He said, don't you cry for me. I'm going nowhere. I'm coming. I said, I've got a lot of play to do. Now, that's what I look up to, you know. But I want the young Tash to be able to meet Kevin so that they can... Kevin and him are almost kindred spirits at either end of the scale, you know.
How incredible is that? It's incredible. Mate, you've got goosebumps. So make sure you give us his details, because we will definitely have a chat to him. John, please take care of yourself, and we will definitely be having another chat. Like I said, I could talk to you forever. All right. I appreciate it. John, please look after yourself. John Swan, everyone. Cheers.
Pick another song for next time.